Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to PoliTarology. This is the last one of the year. So, this is on the eve of the eve of the eve of 2024. And welcome, everybody. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for
Woohoo!
joining us. I'm going to introduce each person and then we'll go around and they can all say hello, hello, hello. Whatever. Hold on a second. The StreamYard is telling me that it can't stream to Facebook. I don't know why it does this. It just,
I just cleaned it out because it does that every
yeah,
time.
it
Yeah.
just, yeah, I just got to take it off because it's just annoying. Okay. So with me tonight, I have Gerald from Tarot Stash. We have Marina from Heart Centered Tarot. We have Sherry from Voices from the Swamp. We have Allie from Heart and Soul Connected. We have Val from Dragonfly Crystals and also Next Level Channeling. And we have my sister, Cleo the Seer. So we're going to start with Gerald, and everybody's going to go around and say hello and what's going on with them and everything. And then probably the show will be over because there's so many people here. Okay, go ahead, Gerald. Hi, how are you? Good to see you.
I am well. I'm Tarot Stash. I am glad to be here. Thank you for the eve of 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 the eve. The role of Eve will be played by not me. So, oh, that would have been a really good one. I could have dressed up like Eve.
You could
Oh, I'm so sorry.
There's
Sorry.
still time. Anyhow, I'm great. Subscribe to my channel because I do lots of different things.
He does. Hi, Marina.
Hey, how are you, Colleen? Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending part of your evening with us and joining us. I'm very glad to be part of this group and just looking forward to having us some few laughs. We got to go out on high, and laughter is the best medicine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sherry, hi. What's going on with you?
Hi, I've got so much stuff happening. I don't know which end is up. So you'll just have to go to the community tab. I'm gonna do a video later just saying everything that I'm gonna be doing for January. So just check it out at that point. I don't want to take up the whole show.
And you guys, I will have links for everybody's channel in the description. I think I might have some of your links in the description now. I honestly just can't remember. I scheduled a buttload of shows at the beginning of December and then I lost internet. So I've really been scrambling to stay on top of stuff and probably not doing a very good job. But when I go back and look at the description after this post, I'll make sure that everybody's links are there. And Allie, hey, welcome back. And thank you for joining us. What's going on for you?
Got lots of things going on, lots of irons in the fire, but I just want to say I'm glad to be on with you all on PoliTarology. I'd rather be here than have Paula Dent. So, yes.
There you go. There you go. Great. Oh, hey, Val, what's up with you?
So later tonight will be Story in the Cards.
Yay!
Marina, Allie, and I. So tune in for that. And other than that, I just want to wish everyone a happy new year. And I'm so thankful to be here with all of my friends. So, and all of you in the chat. Love you all.
Mm-hmm.
So happy new year.
Oh, that's great. Thanks very much, Val. And happy new year to everybody. And then Cleo, hi, what's going on with you?
Well, I made it to this little function of PoliTarology, the very last one of the year. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that's going on is on, when was it, New Year's Day?
Yeah.
Colleen is doing something where she's just invited the whole psychic
world. Yeah.
Every psychic on YouTube is being invited to her show on January 1st. More than likely, I won't be there. It starts at 12 noon. I am barely awake by 12 noon, especially on the day after New Year's Eve, but we'll see. And besides that, it's just been a very cool year, and I see really good things happening, and I want to wish everybody a happy new year, and let's get to the politics.
Okay, great. So thanks everybody for joining us. We've got 90 people in the chat right now, so thank you very much. Does that eyeball mean in the chat or just watching? Does it mean watching?
I think it means
I think
watching.
it means
Yeah.
watching. Yeah.
Okay, so 90 people watching, so you know who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh yeah. Wait a minute. I forgot to- I am streaming this to my channel, so please go to my channel and take a peek at it. You have to click on the live section because it won't be in the very first page. Go to live and then watch me from there. Thank you.
oh, good for you. Good for you. I'm so thrilled. Okay, so what I did when I got up this morning at 5 o'clock for some reason, I don't know why. I turned on YouTube, of course, and I looked at Jen Psaki's show for the new year that went through all the big news headlines or the biggest news headlines for 2023. So I thought that these would make interesting topics and jumping off points for whatever we want to do, if we want to discuss it or do cards or whatever. So people in the chat, if you have some question about what we're going to bring up, certainly put it in the chat. And my friend Gerald here is going to help me keep an eye on that. And thank you, Gerald. Thank you.
I will make sure my tiny hands are keeping up as quickly as possible today.
And I just want to point out, folks, that this is a difficult job with tiny hands. And we should be cognizant of the fact that some people have tiny hands. Okay.
There's no shaming for that.
No shame.
Yes, exactly, Allie.
No shame for tiny hands. Because I mean, this just happens. You don't ask for it. It just happens. Okay.
Yeah.
So on April 5th of 2023, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson were thrown out of the Tennessee House of Representatives after they made big pleas on the floor for them to do something about gun violence and the laws against guns in the wake of a Nashville shooting that was pretty horrendous. So what do we all think of that? Does anybody think of a question in that? I mean, obviously these guys just like skyrocketed into the zeitgeist and just became sort of like, oh, he's the next Barack Obama, or he's the next, I don't know. I think I think it's Justin Pearson, the one with the afro. He reminds me of Malcolm X. I just see that all over the place, but he sounds like Martin Luther King. So, I mean, that is a devastating combination. That guy's got star power all over the place. But Justin Jones, I also really love his energy.
So do I.
It really comes across in videos when you're watching him on a newscast. It's just like, whoa, like I would follow you into the ocean. Like I would go anywhere because he's just got this beautiful energy. And they both are just so righteous in their cause. And I love that. I grew up, I'm a child of the 60s. I grew up just getting kind of swept away in the whole fervor around I was pretty young with JFK, but like Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King, and even figures like Malcolm X. I mean, there was a lot of love there for those people. And these guys are engendering that same kind of almost like rock star status. So what do we think? Let's go around. Gerald, say a few words. What do you think we should do? Should we talk about this or do cards on this? What kind of cards should we do?
Well, actually, somebody asked, Create Love asked, will they run for Congress or Senate?
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
I think that's a great question.
Yeah, let's do that. And we probably, let's just see how it goes. It might be fine for us all to read every question. And if it gets a little wonky, we'll narrow it down to just a couple people. But let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so will Justin Jones and or Justin Pearson run for Congress or Senate?
Didn't they get their positions reinstated?
Yeah, but in the Tennessee House, we're talking about the United States Congress or Senate.
Right. I just wanted to be clear on that. Okay, thank you.
Yes, they did. And the lady, Gloria Johnson, who also was reprimanded but not thrown out because she's a white lady after all.
Yeah.
She has continued to be very, very supportive of them and to talk of herself as a part of the trio, which I think is very cool.
If memory serves, I think what it was is both gentlemen got picked to hold the place until elections could be done for their positions.
Mhm.
And then they both got reelected by even more
Yep.
votes than the last time around.
Yeah, so it was like this was just really a big, ugly formality that was meant to embarrass them and instead catapulted them into national visibility. So, oops,
Yeah.
Republicans. Oops. All right, if anybody's ready, you can go ahead.
So I get devotee. I would love to see at least Justin Jones. I think he's got what it takes, and I see him in Congress at the very least, and then maybe even when he's older, because he's very young. What is he? 25, I think.
Yeah, very
When
young.
he's older, he's got some room to grow there. But yeah, I think he's devoted to the Democratic Party and what it represents.
Okay.
Well, I got the two cups, which is the agreements and the things that they're willing to put forward, and then I got the Ace of Wands. They are working in tandem. They're working in partnership, and they are coming up, and they're going to be presenting some extremely new and novel ideas, and good for them.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Who else?
I'll go. I got yes, straight up yes with the 10 of wands, because everybody is sick and tired of being sick and tired, and these gentlemen, and I use that word very specifically, they rose up.
Yeah.
They are the change that many of us need to see in the world. And so yes, they're going to go straight up. There's going to be a lot of conflict that they're going to have to deal with in order to be able to do this. And what's going to happen is they're going to handle this conflict in such a way it's going to make them even more endearing to the populations. So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I can go.
Yeah, Sherry.
First card I pulled was the Four of Swords. So it feels like Spirit's telling them take a little rest because you're getting ready to be in it full force. It's coming at you.
Mm.
But then I pulled the Six of Wands, which is just emphasizing that they're badasses and they're going to be able to handle it. No matter what they get thrown at them, like Gerald was saying, they're going to not only get through it, but they're going to do it in such a way that it makes everybody stand up and take notice. And it resets the bar to a higher level. Instead of us scraping the bottom, it's going to be back up again. And that's what we see.
Wow, that was great. Okay.
And I got the Queen of Swords for them. And as I threw down the rest of the cards, there's a lot of conflict and things that they're working against, just exactly how Sherry was saying. And here they are, the priestess energies standing up against all this conflict. And even at the bottom of the deck was the devil. But the overarching thing, I heard 10 years from my guides before I pulled any cards. So throughout all this, they, just like Gerald said, they'll gain strength, and their skills, their ability to speak that truth that they're here to do with their amazing energies. And I'm just getting the chills. So 10 years.
I can agree with the 10 years. I pulled a 6 and a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys are very they're inspiring to a lot of young people, and what you're seeing is the beginning of a whole bunch of young people with over the apparently the next 10 years that are going to come in and be part of the government and part of the, you know, they're not like willing, they're not saying we want to get rid of all the old people. They just have the new ideas. They cut right through the BS. They know exactly what's going on. They know what needs to be changed, and they've got a lot of followers, whether they know it or not. Maybe not from their state, but around the country, that are looking at these guys going, hey, you know, I think I want to be a part of this too. So you've got more and more young people. They're being inspired by these guys. they will definitely be in different political positions, either in the House or the Senate.
Yeah.
And but yes, it's going to take a little bit of time. But I think they are like the leaders of this evolution of young people that are going to change our government for the best, way better, especially of what you're looking at right now. I mean, that kind of thing will not exist. Not
Yeah,
with the new that's
wait till
coming.
wait till they have dinner with Max Frost and David Hogg. Think of the four of them all in the same room together trying to make change. I could see it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I could see it. People of that generation just saying, "We're not taking it anymore." You know,
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, I got pretty much what you guys got. One of the things that I got though also is that their ability, what those next 10 years is going to be about, is not only them. I mean, they know how to speak truth. They're people who were born in as indigo rainbow type children that just can't do anything except speak the truth, even if it means they lose their jobs. I mean, like they're just like all about that truth telling. But I think that what they're learning over the next 10 years is refinement of their skills of moving the argument, of bringing the argument to a different audience, of learning how to speak to people of different generations, and learning how the governmental mechanics work. What are the instruments in government that allow me to get this passed, this bill or whatever. And I think they'll go through a few different things. I don't think they'll just stay in the Tennessee Congress for 10 years. They may stop and do more of their activism work or whatever, or maybe they will stay there. But that 10 years is going to be like PhD level work that they're doing in learning how to hone their skills, not just as politicians, because I think they're pretty good at that. I think they kind of nailed that one. But I think that they need to learn, what do other people do? What are the creepy, dirty politicians do? How do I combat that? I think that's what they're going to be. And I do think that they're going to get together with people like Max Frost and David Hogg, and I think they're going to form a fantastic coalition, which is going to be quite something to see. Very, very exciting.
We've been introduced to the next level, to the next generation of leadership. It's like Spirit is singling out these different young men and women and saying, spotlight, okay, pay attention. They're going to be the ones running things.
Like I could see a mentorship between those four young men and the squad. Why not? Why couldn't they say, here's what we've learned, and really help them? That would be amazing. And it would make it a really, really indomitable political force, for them to have all that knowledge. Okay. All right. So this one won't take very long, and I really don't think we need to discuss it that much. I just think it's one of the funnier moments in 2023. The arraignment of Donald Trump in New York City for Alvin Bragg's charges, when New Yorkers lined the streets and chanted, "New York hates you, New York hates you." There wasn't very many, there was maybe about 200 people, but it was enough. And they just kept showing it on the news. It was hilarious. And I know that Donald Trump, being a New Yorker, really hated it. So it was one of those rare moments where they really got its goat. Oh, literally, New York hates you. And they do. So,
Yep.
I just wanted to bring that up. Okay, so that one's done. All right. So let's talk about the Speaker of the House, all two of them. So it took 15 days to elect Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. And I guess he was finally voted in on January 7th. So I guess they started at the end of 2022. And then he was voted to be removed on October 3rd. And I just want to point out my little Virgo moon here. I'm like, wait a minute. They said he was Speaker for 10 months. Nuh-uh. He was Speaker just under a full 9 months. So there you go, Kevin. All right. Now, let's see. They vacated him as Speaker, and they started the process, and then they took a 8-day recess. And so it was about 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks before we had a new Speaker, and that was Mr. Johnson. And let's just recount Who all tried to become speaker? Well,
Yeah.
Steve Scalise of Louisiana. Now,
Mhm.
he ultimately bowed out, I think, due to health reasons, although he said otherwise. Jim Jordan from Ohio tried, but he couldn't get anywhere near the votes. And it really started to get embarrassing because with each progressive vote, Hakeem Jeffries was getting closer and closer and closer to getting enough votes to just
Yep.
be speaker himself. And then he tried a couple of other people. Tom Emmer, you may recall, defeated a Mr. Byron Donalds of Florida, Tom Emmer being of Minnesota, in 3 rounds of voting. And then amazingly, they brought up the name of Mike Johnson, who nobody really knew and who they failed to do a complete vetting process on. And they were so nervous for not having a speaker for so long that they just kind of like put him in. And I think that they were worried that if they just kept voting, Hakeem Jeffries would ultimately have become speaker, even though they weren't in the majority. So out of embarrassment, they brought in Mr. I'm Really Moses Johnson.
Yeah.
And so we're still waiting for him to be vacated, which I think is just around the corner. So I'd like to read on this. What do you think? Let's just
Yeah.
see. How much longer do we have for Mr. Johnson?
I heard 5.
5.
Like 5 months or something like that. I heard 5, and I would say it's probably 5 months, if not sooner.
Was there something that came up about him and Stormy Daniels?
I don't know.
I heard something about it, and they said, was he actually with? And of course, they had that he took his daughter to some virginity pledge thing.
What?
So it
The
came up
purity
about the same
pledge.
thing. Yeah. No.
This is
Well-
like a bad sitcom, this thing of his. It's just go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
he's a weirdo. Is that's all there is to it? He
He
is.
is.
He is.
He
He's
is
very
a
weird.
weirdo. Weirdo.
I got Baby Angel and Mother. And when I saw those together, I thought, okay, all right, what this is telling me is we are going to probably get some news about his relationship, not only with his wife, but on her background. I think that for someone who is so religious, so kind of wedded to what they're doing, I think that she has done some things, or she has some things in her past that are going to call for him to be gone fairly quickly.
Nice.
And further, I pulled the temperance. That was my first card. It's a 14. It adds up to 5.
5, yeah.
Yeah, there should be a closet card, honestly.
I have to start out by apologizing to the world from all the same Louisianians that you have to deal with Mr. Mike right now. Word around the state is not good, let's say. A lot of talk. His wife is worse. So, yeah, they're part of this really fanatical, evangelical, purity only type group, but yet none of those rules apply to them in their behaviors. But I pulled the 8 of Pentacles because this has been a methodical, steady progressing move that he's been doing very behind the scenes, kind of just tiptoeing right along and going right up to where he wants to be. And so that worries me because he's sneaky like a snake.
Yeah.
And then I pulled the Page of Pentacles reversed. And so that's just more of this lovely news we're going to find out about he and the Mrs. And then I pull the Fool because, yeah, they're fools. It's as simple as that.
I'm going to go. I'm okay. So I'm going to get a little witchy. So pardon me. I am the March equinox, March 19th, 2024. We're done. Either he will already be out, or the steps will be in place to be able to do it. And part of it is I got the tower with in that position.
Yeah.
So definitely springtime. And we need a balance to come back. It's the perfect time. I don't know what is going on astrologically, but it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, you know. And I got all sorts of other cards that things are slowly leading up to this. We're not seeing it; it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I see, you know, Val said 5 months. I see 5 weeks. And mainly because January and February, the House needs to do, they've got a lot of work to do. They've got to finally buckle down and do something. They've done absolutely nothing. And he will be, whether it's his fault or not, he will be the scapegoat. And yeah, they're going to get rid of him. But I think it's sooner rather than later. And whoever replaces him, I would only
Jeffries. Oh, sorry.
I would only hope for Jeffries,
Sorry.
but
You should really have that checked, Colleen.
I know. Sorry.
but we'll just, yeah. I mean, we've been talking about Jeffries coming in sometime in 2024, whether it's this time or another time. But you know, the Republicans are so completely embarrassing that they can't even keep a speaker in place. That, you know, let's see what happens. I mean, they might just drag somebody else in really quick, even though they know they screw up every time they do that. But yeah, no, I don't see Jeffries in there much longer than 5 weeks.
I love that. Did everybody go? Okay. So I was going to just pull a few cards, timing cards, but what I got was 3 major arcana: Strength, the Sun, and Judgment. So I'm going to say that, you know, he's been tap dancing as fast as his widow feet will go, and that the sun is going to come out and shine some light on all sorts of things that we will wish we had never heard about him. And then there will be judgment. The guy's going, and I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. I'm just looking up. Somebody wrote that there was you know, Chiron. What did he say? He said Chiron. Where did that go? Chiron involved with the
Not start at 19.
when was it?
April 8th, I think.
No, that's an eclipse. I thought they were talking about
The eclipse is a biggie with Sun, Moon, Chiron, North Node at 19 degrees.
Yeah, but that's in April. But Cleo at the time, I think, was talking about, somebody was talking about, you talked about March.
I did, yes, the equinox.
The equinox. Yeah. So I wanted to look up what that meant with Johnson's chart. I can do that in a minute. So I'm just going to say, you know, kaput for him. I mean, definitely, at least by that actual eclipse, he should be gone, because I think that eclipse is destined to stir up a whole other bumblebee's nest. I don't think Mike Johnson is part of that. Go ahead, Gerald.
Colleen, I also got 3 major arcana with my 4 cards.
Did you?
I got the Hanged Man, the Tower, and I also got Strength.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
With the 9 of Cups, so somebody's going to take him down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, I know that the Republicans are cuckoo, but I don't think anybody wants the person 2 heartbeats away from the president to be calling himself Moses. I'm sorry. I can't sleep at night with that. That's just terrible. It's just like, are you kidding me? I mean, it was somebody cool if you thought you were like Prince or something. I mean, that's one thing, but Moses, come on. Like, so dumb.
The big thing for me was with both him and his wife, that kind of set up the heebie-jeebies was they don't have a checking account. Who doesn't have a checking account? To me, that smacks of, are you trying to hide what's coming in or hide what's going out?
Mhm.
But how do you operate without a checking account?
Or both.
Or
Checking
both?
account in another name. Maybe he's got
Right.
something going on
Yes.
in another name.
Might be. Then you got the young man that's his foster son that you don't ever hear from. Remember
No,
the
they found him and he
African-American
refused
kid?
to speak to anybody. He's like,
Yeah.
he asked to be left alone. He has nothing to say about the man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I just think, Harlan Crow has set up some sort of special bank account for him where he just uses that and he doesn't have to claim that he has any kind of bank affiliations or something. Because you got to live and look at the way he lives. And you notice too, since he's gotten in, he is really wound up tight. This is what I said about him in the very beginning. He's wound up tight like a very tight spring, but he's slowly getting a little more comfortable with his power, which is
Yes.
really frightening. Like, I don't want that kind of person comfortable with his power because who knows what the F he's going to do.
Exactly.
Ah!
well, the first thing he did when he won the position was there was like major scrub of all mention of him online.
Right.
Yeah.
They weren't fast enough though, because a lot of reporters got screenshots of stuff, when his name first came out, boy, they were on there pulling everything they could get their hands on. But
Yeah. All right. So we can move on to the next topic here, unless somebody has something else to say about that stuff. I'm personally kind of done with it. All right. So we'll just get on to here. All right. So sorry, but we're going to start talking about the Orange Menace. Sorry. All right. So he has
I'm
been
already sick.
indicted 4 times, but he also has a couple of civil indictments too. So that one actually was in 2022 from Letitia James. That was the first indictment where she indicted the whole family in the Trump org. But the first indictment of 2023, and can you believe that we're saying that? The first indictment of this year of that presidency.
Yes.
Come on. So that was the hush money indictment about Stormy Daniels. That was Alvin Bragg, and that's the one where he went to New York for the arraignment, and New York said, again, New York hates you. The second indictment was in June from Jack Smith about the classified documents, which they did in Mar-a-Lago, which has since had a superseding indictment filed on it in July. Then the third indictment was August 1st, which was also Jack Smith in support of on the January 6th support or the insurrection case, which isn't really charging insurrection. And the fourth indictment was August 4th, Fulton County election interference case with all 19 co-conspirators, or 18 co-conspirators plus Trump. So, talk amongst yourselves. Tell me what you're thinking. What do we need to do about this? I mean, we already know a lot of stuff about it, but these are just things that were in the news. Was that the former so-called president and his stuff. So just go ahead. Let's freeform here. What's going on?
4 indictments.
Right.
How many did Obama have? How many did either one of the Bushes have? What about Reagan? Nixon, how many did he have? Yeah, this is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right.
Yeah.
Do we need?
So I just want to say, though, pull the card. This is what's going to happen to him in 2024, our orange one. And it's because he can't dodge every one of them.
Right.
He cannot.
Yep.
He's not able to.
That's right.
That's right.
Boom.
Boom.
Shakalaka.
I've always thought that he was going to skip the country, but I guess Sterling said earlier last week that he sees him in Saudi. So I think he's going to start sweating these out closer and closer because he's not going to get him to be pushed away. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't skip the country.
Yeah, I had thought in the beginning of all this talk about the actual lawsuits, I had thought, yeah, he'll definitely skip the country. And then he announced for president. So
I
I'm like,
know.
well, wait, he can't run for president if he's not in the country. And he believes in his heart of hearts that becoming president is his main way out. But you can see if you're listening to like Midas Touch or any of the news things where they're talking about this stuff, he's already boxed himself into a corner because he's been arguing on both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Right.
In his cases. And even if it's not just within the same case, which in one case it is, but even if he's arguing this side on this case and then arguing on the other side in a different case, they still see that. Court filings are public. Unless you get them sealed, anybody can look at them. You don't think that all those prosecutors are reading everything that gets filed by Donald Trump? You bet they are. Because he's such an idiot. He just keeps stepping on his feet with his legal stuff because he's just, this guy doesn't even know he doesn't even know the first few lines of the Constitution. He doesn't know anything about the government. He still doesn't know. So, booyah. He's
I
terrible.
think he believes that the first line of the Constitution is, yes, I'll have fries with that.
At least ketchup. At least
ketchup. Yeah.
But he's totally confident. So I don't see him leaving the country yet, but because he's totally confident, he's got the backing of a lot of people, a lot of rich people that have written the book of what they want him to do. And he goes right along with it because that's what he wants to do. He does see himself as a dictator. He sees himself. He thinks right at this moment, the energy right now with him is he cannot lose. He won't lose. He thinks he's in it to win it, and he's got it. So he's very confident about what he's doing, regardless of whether he shits his pants or not. So, I mean, all these things that are coming up where they're trying to take him off the ballot, they're not too worried about that either because they don't think the court is going to go in favor of Colorado. And if they don't if that doesn't work out, all the other states that are doing this, it's just not going to work out. But what I love about it is at least it presents to the American people, look at this guy. There's a lot of people that although you may not be able to get him off the ballot, they don't want him on the ballot. So I love it that message is coming out loud and clear. Mm-hmm. I still don't, I really don't, at this point in time, I don't see him winning the Republican nomination. I just don't. I think it is.
I just read today there's a group that just filed here in Louisiana to have him removed from our ballot.
Wow. Right. So it's really going like dominoes now. It's just going like dominoes. It's going to be like every other state is going to start doing that. You know, Allie, going back to the leaving the country thing, I think his fatal mistake is going to be he's going to wait too long to try to leave. And I have this vision of him. It's kind of cartoonish of him dragging Ivana's casket along the dock, trying to get it into like a small boat. And he manages to get it on the edge of the boat, and then the dock and the boat just collapse under the weight of that damn casket, and he falls in the water. That's what I see. I mean, just like too late. You missed the boat. You broke the boat. And you broke your life. You broke everything because I don't think he's going to be able to go.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that he won't leave the country. I just think that right now the energy is that he's very confident in where he's at.
Yeah, it's not right now anyway.
Yeah, not right now. Yeah. But for him to leave, I don't know. He's Go ahead, Val. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. I agree. This is my card agreeing with you. He thinks he's the high priestess. In his brain, he thinks he's got it all and it's going his way. And this is what's really happening. And no card. It's all no. It's not going to happen the way he wants. So
I know I pulled the thief because that's how he's operated all of his life.
Definitely.
He looks through rose-colored glasses in a sense. You know, he sees everything to his favor, to his betterment, no matter how bad it is. What he doesn't realize is that Senor Jack has got him tied up, bound up, and operating out of the corner, thinking he's still in control, and he's not. And this is his ultimate position.
Mhm.
He's going to be in jail of
Yeah.
some kind. May not be actual bars, but he's going to be in jail.
So that might be the point where he says, I'm getting out of the country. When
Yes.
he gets threatened with jail,
Mhm.
I don't think he will be able to handle that.
Mhm.
Even if they make that phony jail for him, where it's just him and what's been described before about he'll be in a hospital room or something. Even with that, no, yeah, that could be. And then when he gets caught trying to leave the country, he'll say, "Well, no, he's just going to check out some of his businesses, or he's going to do something else." When in fact, he's running away.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't pulled his passport already to prevent him from leaving the country.
He'll make another one.
Yeah.
True.
And he has a private jet. He can get out of the country without a passport. As long as he's landing in a friendly country, he doesn't even need the passport.
Russia.
Mhm.
He'll land in Russia.
The food's not good in Russia, so I don't think he'll go there.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, do you remember when he went there? They put his friggin' face on a building. I
Yeah.
mean, they love his
They
butt.
did the mystical oracle crystal ball thing that they made up that supposedly gave him magical powers or some such nonsense. I don't know.
It's so crazy. You
I
know,
get caught into every moment of it.
the thing that really makes me mad is that he's got all those Secret Service people around him who are probably very loyal to him by now, but they're supposed to be preventing him from not only getting hurt but from doing anything wrong too. You know, they can't let him just break the law. That would be against what their oath is about. You know, so I don't know. That makes me very, very mad. But I do think he's just going to screw himself, because wherever he goes, if he does try to run, you'll know, because he'll have a gold brick sticking out of his pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he tries, I mean, he has been the magician trying to create. He's created all of this with the help of some friends and colleagues. What's happening is everything that he thought was coming to fruition, it's dying on the vine, and he's starting to see it dying on the vine until he actually goes over there and tries to pick that fruit that he thinks is still there. He's not going to leave. He's not going to panic.
Yeah, well, he's smelling it die on the vine too. Maybe.
Well, he can't smell it because he smells too much. I mean, I have a fan and I'm doing this because we're talking about him. It stinks.
I can't even watch the news shows about the whole thing with the stinking. I start gagging. I can't even watch it anymore. It's just,
I can't listen to his voice anymore. It's
no.
the only clips I can watch of him are the ones that get doctored up and they make him sound like a chipmunk or something.
Yeah.
Then I can listen to him. But if it's his normal voice, I have to mute. I can't.
But, Sherry, I can listen to Matt Friend imitate him.
I can, yeah. People imitating
Matt Friend, the comedian.
But his voice is just,
He's
it's
really,
like fingernails on a chalkboard. I just can't listen to him.
Is that the guy from Saturday Night Live, or is that somebody else?
I don't know if I don't think he's on Saturday Night Live, but he's been on all the news broadcasts by now, and he has a bunch of shorts on YouTube, and he sounds just like, he does an excellent imitation.
Is he from The Daily Show? I thought he was from The Daily Show.
What's his name again?
Friend, I don't know what
Matt Friend?
he's a comedian. Yeah,
All right, I'll look it
Matt
up.
Friend. Yeah, look him up.
Oh, I have no pens that work. Oh my God. Matt Friend. Okay, well, let's
Here. There you
go.
I'm handing you one.
Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
So, I wanted to talk a little bit about women's rights and the fact that they've been so ucked up over the last year and a half. And I just wanted to point out a good piece of news that in November, the Ohio election enshrined, now correct me if I'm wrong, Gerald, enshrined the right to abortion in their constitution. becoming, now my source said the 7th state to do so, but when I actually went to go try to figure out which states actually have it in their constitution, I got either 8 or 10 or 6. So I'm not quite, the reason this is confusing is because some of the states have had high court cases decided on issues that caused them to uphold a woman's right to get like Medicaid funding for an abortion or to just get an abortion in general, based on the fact that the general stuff in their constitution allows that.
Mhm.
So it's really hard to just say, okay, this many states have it in their constitution, because they don't actually have it written, thou shalt be able to have an abortion in their constitution, but they have other stuff all the way around it that supports it and that in fact has been supported in their courts. So I just thought it would be fun to look at the map of the United States to see where you can and can't get an abortion. Yay. Okay. So let me pull up the map and
Not
let me
here.
my screen, because I think this is really fun. Okay, not fun. You know what I mean. You know what I'm
It's
saying.
important.
Yes.
People need to be aware of this.
Yes, it is really important. So here's my little PSA here. So here we go. Share screen. It's really weird because I have the StreamYard screen cut across my 2 monitors so that I can see better.
Well, I think to make it easy, doesn't the whole West Coast support abortion?
Well, that's a good question, Cleo. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you're seeing the map?
Yep.
Yes.
Because I'm not seeing you guys anymore. So, don't stick your tongue out at me or anything. Okay, so this is a very cool map. If I go up here, let me undo these. So here's the whole map with all the colors on it. And the colors mean different things. Can I make this smaller? I guess I can't. I'm sorry. I want you to be able to see the whole map. And down below here is Alaska, Hawaii, Guam, and some other little islands like Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is like not cool with abortion. It's very weird. Okay.
It's a very Catholic.
Yes. Very Catholic.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's look at what I call the good states. Let's go to expanded access. So these are states that have expanded access, and they don't actually have it in their constitution, except for California, that they support abortions, but they have not overturned any cases about
Yeah.
abortion in their high courts.
Mhm.
And then we also have over here Minnesota, who does, let's see, yeah, it has the right up to abortion. That's in their constitution. And then here's Illinois. They also have something in their constitution. New York does not have it in their constitution, but it has a lot of comprehensive laws to support it. Vermont, very cool. They have it in the constitution. Connecticut does no. Connecticut doesn't have it in the constitution, but it supports. New Jersey, I didn't even know this, but New Jersey pretty much has it in our constitution. And Maryland is a good one, but does not necessarily have it in their constitution. And then we have the protected states. This is very good. Maine, Massachusetts, Delaware, Ohio, Michigan, Kansas, Colorado, Nevada, Montana, Alaska, Florida. I was surprised that Florida does, but in Florida, they're doing a lot of things to try to do away with it. And then I'm really bad with this map. Where the hell is Ohio? There, Ohio.
That's it. Yep.
So Ohio should actually say expanded access or something, because I think they actually have it and they just haven't updated the map, I guess. So I guess, Center for Productive Rights is probably nonprofit, so they just don't have anybody who's back from vacation to do it. Okay. So that's that. Now, these are the states where abortion is not protected. Let me take these off. And they're just down. It's just not protected. We'll see down here. It's Guam. Let me scroll down here. This is Puerto Rico. This is Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Not done. New Mexico, no. Virginia, no. And then New Hampshire. So off here, these little guys holding out, saying no, you can't have an abortion here. And then let's take these off and let's just look at the hostile states. Ouch. So these guys are really hostile to getting an abortion there. And then these are the states where it's just actually illegal, which is quite a few.
Yeah.
So we got Idaho, all those billionaires in Idaho don't want you to have an abortion. Weird. North Dakota, South Dakota. Well, there's only 10 people between those two states, so that's not too bad. And then Texas, there's a lot of people down there, but now Texas
Mhm.
is getting all up in their panties about Trump being on the election. So who knows? I mean, they could come on board any minute if they're doing that. Oklahoma, that's where my daddy's from. Of course, they're not going to let it. I guess Oklahoma is like the most Trump state in the United States. Missouri. Anyway, you can just see there's a big block of them here. What
Mhm.
the hell do you do if you're in North Carolina? I mean, God.
Yeah.
You go to Florida, I guess, and you try not to get arrested, but just cuckoo. So that's where the map is. So if you're playing the home game, everybody, you want to go to reproductiverights.org and then go to their filter map by location. I actually just Googled what states support abortion in their constitution, and it brought me to this website. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to go over that with everybody because it isn't really straightforward. Like I said, there's all these little, you know how lawyers are. It's all, goofy language and it's this, not that, and right, not left,
Yeah.
that stuff. So anyway,
Mhm.
I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
Well, I have a question. I have a question. If you're
Yeah.
if you're in a state that supports it in their constitution, is that better than just like say Washington and Oregon that it's legal, but I don't know that it's supported in the Constitution? I mean,
Well,
what's the difference?
it means that at some point, if the state went more red than purple or blue, that it's conceivable that a case may come before their high courts and be, they may be turned down for their abortion rights because it's not enshrined in the Constitution. It's only supported by law. So currently, all of the states who have that we just saw on the map have not had cases overturned. They've been supportive, but you know, things could change. We don't know. So that's what that means.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so that was that thing. Anybody have anything to say about that? So,
I was just putting a link to that map in as many of the chats that I could get to.
oh, thank you. That's really good because you never
Yes.
know. You know, this isn't one of those things where like you have it on your to-do list. It's like when the day comes that you need this, it's like, oh my God, I need this. So you need it. But also, people who find themselves in a situation in one of those horrible states where they are pregnant, they wanted the baby, but now their life is threatened because of the condition of their pregnancy. That's also just a hideous situation to find yourself in. So,
Well, that's part of the Republican and the right wing's lie that those of us who don't buy into that nonsense really need to start being very vocal about. It's the fact that you know you're 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 taking away the rights of a person because you don't agree with their medical care. It's like that makes no sense. I mean,
and truthfully, Sherry, I don't think they really believe that. I think
no, they don't. Not for
I think that,
themselves anyway.
yeah, if their girlfriend needed help like that, for sure
Right.
they'd cross any state line they needed to. I
And
just
it's
think they want to be obstructionist about
the
it.
misnomer of women are running to abortion clinics to have an abortion. Oh, this is fun. Let's go get an abortion. It's like, no, that's not what happens. These are usually heart wrenching, gut tearing decisions that are being made because of medical situations, or if it's earlier on in the pregnancy, of a young girl been raped or molestation or incest or or just made a stupid mistake, who's like, I can't do this. I mean, who the hell thinks it's smart to force a 10-year-old to have a child?
Well, and regardless of how you got there, if
Right.
you are choosing that you want to terminate a pregnancy, it is not a fun decision to make.
No, it's not.
I've had abortions, not just one, and every time it's really, really awful.
It
The
is so.
decisions that you have to make, not to mention what that does to your soul. This is just not something that people do because it's Saturday. You know, it's
Exactly.
really horrible. And for them to take it to the level where they're, taunting people, making fun of people, teasing people, and saying stupid things like, yeah, they want to do abortions on 9 months. Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
So this is the key. They know not what they do.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Jesus on the cross,
Yeah.
telling the holy, telling God, please pardon them. They don't know what they do, because they're so hornswoggled at this point that there's nothing but a dumpster fire in everything that they do.
I really like the thing I've seen online, social media. It's like, your religion prevents you from doing things, not me from doing things.
Right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
all right. So,
Well, I like that. I also think that it's really important if you go to school to become a lawyer, you go to school to become a doctor, you go to school to become an engineer. Those are all things that have to do with training, with information that are useful in your field. Just because you happen to be a lawyer doesn't mean that it allows you to make medical decisions about someone else. That's what the doctor is for.
Mhm.
You don't go to the doctor to get legal advice.
right. And, they're
So,
thinking of bringing cases against these legislators to charge them with practicing medicine
law
without
with,
a license.
yes,
And I really think they should. I really think they should.
absolutely.
That would serve their butts right. It really would serve them right.
And I
Okay.
just think it's
Anybody else? Go ahead, Val.
so manipulative to call it right to life.
Yeah.
Because there's many people out there who believe that life begins when the baby takes the first breath. That's when the spirit comes into
That's
the
what the
body.
Bible says.
So this whole thing is so manipulative to say that these cells that created the shell has a right to life, and the woman doesn't have any rights about what is happening to her body. No woman should have her rights taken away and stripped from her about anything regarding her body. It's just a manipulative whole process. And I agree with you, Colleen. It's not really, they don't care. It's just an obstructionist kind of manipulative scenario to run, but it's going to bite them in the butt.
Yeah.
Never forget, cruelty is the point.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem like all those stupid congressmen have what's it called, oppositional defiant disorder? They just all behave like that. I had a kid one of my stepkids had that, and it was just like anything you said. It was just like it was a fight. It was a confrontation. They didn't want to do it until you're just like, God, go to therapy. And they act like that. Like, why doesn't anybody? I mean, I read something about 5-10 years ago where they were saying, most of Congress was on Prozac. What's the new medicine we need to put them all on so that they stop this oppositional defiant disorder? It's getting them nowhere.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
Plant medicine. Good answer, Allie.
CBD in a gummy.
Good answers. Yes, I love that. That's great. That is great. Oh my God. Oh, God.
Any hallucinogenic will work.
Yes. Yes.
Just any of them. Oh, God, that's funny. Okay, one of the other things that I think this one came from Stephanie Rule. No, this wasn't Stephanie Rule. I don't remember who this was. It was one of the newscasters, and they said the most amazing headline throughout the year that kept cropping up was that we kept learning more and more about who Harlan Crow was and what he did. Like nobody had ever heard of him before.
Right.
That was fun. So it kind of made him a more human person. Just thinking of him as an oligarch or a mega billionaire just wasn't enough. It really made him real to me. To know how he interacted with what's his nose on the SCOTUS. All right. So speaking of SCOTUS, I'm glad you brought up SCOTUS. Thank you. Do we think that I don't think they've accepted the case for presidential immunity yet, right? That's still with the
Lower
DD
court.
district. Okay.
Yeah.
When do we think they're going to actually get to it? When do we
Okay, say that again.
When do we think SCOTUS is going to get the case for presidential immunity? Because you know it's going to go, whatever the district court says, because the district court is going to agree with Judge Chutkin. You know that. This is a given. We don't have to read cards on it. But what's going to happen between the district court, Trump's appeal, and then SCOTUS? When are they going to get it? I think his appeals are going to cause
if they do it fairly, they will find that no, he did not have president.
When is he going to do it? We know
Isn't it January 9th or something? They have the
Well,
lower
they
court
had-
has a date.
the lower court has a date. They have to finish by January 9th. So
Right.
when do we think that SCOTUS, will SCOTUS take it up, and when will they take it up? That's what we want to know.
Will they? Well,
big-
will
yeah.
they try to force it till after the election? That's
Exactly.
Well,
That's
you
what
know,
they want.
I didn't
Cleo,
like
that's what I'm getting, is that they are going to take it up, but they are not going to come out with any ruling until after the election. If they come out with a ruling before the election and they side with Trump, then while Biden is still president, he could very easily say, excellent, according to the new rules, all the charges against my son are dropped. All the investigations must stop. And I don't know if I will accept whatever vote comes in November. I will accept it if I win, but if I lose, I won't accept it. So they can't take that chance. They have to wait until after the election in order to go in there and say, well, actually, you know what? No, Trump did have immunity, because by then, yeah,
I don't think they're going to take it up. I really don't. I think they're going to side with the lower court. I think they don't want it. I don't think they want it.
and that would be great.
well,
Yeah.
I heard 9 months. So
Okay.
that would be September. And I felt like it will almost be a moot point because the other courts that are prosecuting him and indicting him will make it a non-issue when Fulton County comes in with their guilty verdict. It's going to make everything else, not relevant.
And when do you think Georgia's going to come in?
I think
They're going to move the date up?
I feel like, well, if I look at it and ask, it's going to be before June. I feel like it's going to be a quick trial. And I think, isn't it supposed to start in March? It's not going to be long. It will
That's
be
the
a very
federal one, though.
fast.
No,
It's
I think Judge Chutkin's supposed to start in March. And
Yeah, March and so
Bonnie
April, May,
Willis
June,
is
3
in
months.
May.
Yeah.
Bonnie Willis is May.
Oh,
So
Fawny Willis is May. And I felt like it would be, very quickly done. And within 2 months, it'll be a done trial, done deal. So, yeah.
There's also been speculation that the Fawny Willis trial will be soon, like within weeks, because of all the delays of other trials. I mean, I don't quite understand the legal process here, but because of these other delays, that she could go ahead and step it up and do it sooner. Whether she'll do that, I don't know yet, but it could come up sooner than March for Fawny Willis.
Right.
thinking about it. She really wants to. She's dying to get her stuff on board. But I do think that SCOTUS is going to be forced into hearing the case about immunity. I think because leaving it with the district courts, I mean, it's conceivable that they could leave it with the district courts, but the problem with that then is that each state could run their own case about the 14th Amendment, and each state would have a different kind of ballot. And I don't think Trump would stand for that. I think he would be pushing them towards it. But Trump is really in a catch-22. The court has not sided with him in many, many cases. And although he wants to be on the ballot, he does not want to hear definitively that he doesn't have immunity, because that screws him in a number of cases. So
I think the only reason why people don't think that they think that they need that clause that's saying a president is not going to be found guilty of anything. They can't be. I think that is for people who there's a level of people out there that don't believe he created insurrection. So I believe that when the case finally comes to, when the Fulton County case, when Fawning Willis's case finally is over within a few months' time, it will be revealed how intricate that process was and how organized. Once it is out there to the general public, I believe it will create a tsunami of, oh my God, this person really did insurrection. I don't care what. No one is going to want that as a presidential thing that someone can do.
Yeah.
It will be found to be a flaw that needs to be corrected in our laws. And that's how, maybe I'm too idealistic, but I really feel like that's going to be.
No, I totally agree with you, with Val, excuse me. But the whole thing is that you can't, oh, where did my thought process go?
there it goes.
If they decide he has presidential immunity, that's like, I mean, prosecutors have immunity for certain things because of their job. But if you take a president and even a prosecutor, anybody, and they do something outwardly illegal, and you say, well, they're immune because they held office. No. That's not a democracy.
Thank you.
A dictatorship.
It is a dictatorship when someone can stay in office by manipulating the system. That is our very, very powerful way of not being able to keep our democracy sacred. So that it's going to put a lot of rankles. I don't care if you're GOP or who you are, you're not going to want to see that ever happen to anyone.
One of the points that so many other countries around the world make is that one of the things that many of them didn't understand how we managed to do it and held America up for the fact that we were the ones that did it, and that was a peaceful transfer of power. You know, I mean, there's a lot of other democratic societies around the world, but a lot of them come at the cost of not having peaceful transfers. You know, there's just very few, and that's one of the things that everybody kind of held us up for, was the fact that every 4 years, come hell or high water, you know, whoever got voted in, power would pass to them. And yeah, they're really.
Yeah, with this thing with Trump testing that whole thing, I mean, we have never, ever seen anything like this in the history of the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, this court's going to be careful, and they are not going to say that he has presidential immunity for every single thing. Maybe certain things if they want to nitpick, but not for everything. And when he's done insurrection, he can't have presidential immunity over that. That's like if he went in and robbed a bank and he said, well, I had to do it because I was president and I thought it was the best thing to do. No, that was an illegal act, and he will pay the price for that. Were you going to say something, Gerald?
Well, I agree with you, Colleen. The Supreme Court is going to have to do something with it. They don't want to, because my indicator card was with the devil. They're trying to avoid having to make the decision. And then I get it. I get sometime in the early summer, my indicator card is with the Hierophant, because what they're doing is they are creating a rule that will need to be followed. And it could be very detrimental. All of the other cards around it, and actually, it's part of fun when we look at coming in toward the election. People are going to have to start thinking for themselves and start studying to find out what is real, what are the facts, and what aren't facts, because it's crazy.
I really appreciate what Miss Taro D put at 7:08 my time, 8:08 Eastern time, talking about after she and her husband watched The Handmaid's Tale, they agreed, to be part of the underground for women. I mean, just like we had to do for slaves to get them out of and away from harm. It's come to this that now we have to run an underground so that women can get proper life-saving health care.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, SCOTUS. So, let's say that they really resist taking on the presidential immunity clause. I get that. They don't want to do it. They're going to put it off. But then you're going to have also the case about the 14th Amendment. Should he or shouldn't he be allowed to be on the ballot? And that one I also think they're going to want to put off, but I think that one's just as important as the immunity. I think immunity, they have to side with the fact that he can't have immunity, because that would just be ridiculous. But the 14th Amendment has become so controversial, and yet it is an amendment to our Constitution. And it doesn't say that he has to be convicted of insurrection, which is what I thought initially. And like a lot of people, it's just, no, that's not the reading of that amendment at all. Do we think that SCOTUS is going to rule on that issue before, say, the Republican convention, which is mid-July?
Well, they
Well,
only
I do know that the original amendment, as put in to be approved, the number one punishment for insurrection, sedition, this sort of thing, was death. And Lincoln had it changed after the Civil War because he didn't want the North going into a feeding frenzy of killing off all the Southern leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, you'll never get people to unite if we're still killing each other off just under the auspices of it's in the amendment. So they revised it and they took that statement out. I mean, when you think about it, they better be damn glad that somebody was thinking about that and kind of amended the amendment, because otherwise they could all be looking at death sentences.
Yeah. But so is that going to come before the Supreme Court? And when is it going to come? Because I think that's
I wanted to say something about the 14th Amendment thing before I forget about it. They have to come up with a decision by, I believe, January 5th, because the ballots are going to start being printed up and they're not going to make it in time. So Trump will probably be on all the ballots, even though we'll just see. I mean, if some little thing could come up before election time where they say, ignore that on the ballot, or that wouldn't be accepted because they did come through and say he couldn't be on the ballot. But as far as will he physically be on the ballot? Probably.
well, but it wouldn't be unheard of for them to reprint the ballots. And now you've got, what is it? I think a total of 8 states that are, maybe less, I don't know what the number is, but 8 states that have said we don't want him on the ballot. So are they printing their ballots without him? And now Texas is saying that. So you've got Maine, Texas, was it Nevada, Colorado,
Louisiana just had a case filed.
Louisiana?
To pull them.
So you've
I
got,
think Oregon does too.
Oregon.
Yeah.
6, 7, 8 states where, so before January 5th, it's a hot potato right now. So before January 5th, we could have maybe, I don't know, 15
Well, I
states.
think the January 5th thing applies totally. I'm not aware that it applies to all these states, but to Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado. Yeah, but the point is, this is a primary. We're talking about voting in the primary,
Right.
not the whole thing. But they can be reprinted. It's not unheard of. They can be reprinted. And
Well, what I'm saying also that is depending on what kind of psychic messages you might be given, because on one hand, and you're going to get, well, no, he's on the ballot. So what did that mean? Well, it meant that he was on the ballot, or no, he's off the ballot. I mean, now we're talking about a printing issue and not just a legal thing. So it can, it's just so cattywampus. It's just so up and down. But you know, he will probably have his name on the ballot.
I can well see the Supreme Court holding back until it's too late
Yep.
to decide one way or the other.
Yeah.
So that even if they say, no, he can't be on the ballot, it'll still be too late. He'll be on that ballot.
Yeah.
His
really,
name will be there.
really, because when we had the hanging chads, they decided that pretty darn quick. I think.
Yeah, they did that like 48 hours, something
Yeah,
like
but
that.
I think this is one of those times where you're like, well, why the hell do we have a Supreme Court if you can't decide these really, really important issues? This is exactly what we need you for.
And deciding quickly.
Decide these big, broad things quickly, or let every state do what the hell they want and shut up about it. And don't tell us that you're going to make a ruling. But those two issues are, kind of pending with the Supreme Court. I mean, the one that's the immunity one going with the DC Circuit, probably you're right. They're probably going to try very hard to put that off. But the one with the with the 14th Amendment, hasn't somebody already like put that in front of them, or no? I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
What's the question?
Well, it's not really a question to read on. I'm just like, I'm losing track of, did Jack Smith go to them and say, I want you to rule, is that the one where he skipped over the district court and said, I want a ruling from you? Okay. So what's that district court then? Because that's not the immunity clause. That's the 14th Amendment thing.
That might be the appellate courts that he went to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is.
Circuit courts.
So they're waiting on that. I can't believe they would wait on that. That's a really important one. That's the one about him being on the ballot, not the immunity clause. The one about him being on the ballot or not is the one that everybody's kind of holding their breath to find out what's going on.
That's the one I thought you were talking about. That's when I said I thought that the SCOTUS was just going to send it back to the state court. Yeah, that's the one. I mixed it up. So
yeah. See, I don't think they're going to send it back to the states. I don't think they can. Okay. It's a federal election. The primaries, yes, happen in the states. So for the primaries, okay. But the 14th Amendment, if he's not on the ballot for the primary, he can't be on for the election either. I don't know.
Can't they just agree with the other court? I mean, they could just say, we're not gonna look at this at all. We just agree with them. Can't they do that?
I guess. Okay. I think honestly, I think they kind of make up the rules as they go along.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
especially Clarence Thomas. Ugh. Yeah.
God.
Well, and I mean, Wayne made a snide little comment, but it's so true. Is there's so many cases, it's hard to keep track. And it's like, it's at the point now where it's like, I forget who's doing which case and what state, and which judge, and they're all getting confusing to me.
You have to have a spreadsheet. Come on, people, get with it.
Absolutely.
Excel. Come on, I've got mine.
Yeah.
What was your original question on that, Colleen?
Well, I'm just with the 14th Amendment. Will SCOTUS take it up prior to the Republican convention? Because the primaries, okay, they can reprint those or rescind them or say, we have to send you a new one or whatever. They can do that. They can make that happen. But for the actual election, I think they need to have their shit together before the convention so that they can figure out who's going to be the Republican candidate. So to me, that's the drop dead date. They got to decide something before July 15th because no presidential ballots are being drawn up before that convention because they don't know.
Right.
I know that sounds terrible, but I got to know.
I got to know as well.
Yeah.
that they're not going to rule on it?
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
get the 6 of Swords, and then I got the Tower. So that was kind of like kicking it down the road, and there's fallout as a result of it.
Well, if
So
that's
it
the case,
becomes a
if
bigger
that's the
mess.
case, then I propose that that means that something has happened to Donald Trump physically.
Well, I still think that Donald Trump won't get the nomination.
Well, that would
Yeah.
go along with my thesis here.
Yeah.
There's got to, because if he is breathing, wearing his diapers, and pooping, then he's got a chance to be on the ballot. But if he is non-ambulatory or non-compos mentis or incoherent or in a coma, he can't.
I'm
And
going to
that's
throw this out. He's got Lewy body.
what's
He's
that?
got Lewy body dementia. He
Oh,
does.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. He's had it for years.
And so
Not for
he
years.
has, and it's only getting worse, and so he can't sustain this much longer.
No.
Yeah, don't
really
don't you
can't.
see that? I see that too. I see that
Yeah.
he is just and
Mhm.
then when they started talking about the physical stuff, the diapers and all that stuff, I was just like, good Lord, how do they get him out on stage? No
Ugh.
He has to
wonder.
have rubber. He has to have rubber things for the tips of his feet so that he doesn't fall over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And
mean,
I just asked if he had Lewy body dementia, and I
Yeah,
had got
he
the
does.
tower.
Yeah.
Oh,
He definitely
gives me
has.
the chills.
so the issue, can we read on that? I propose that the issue about why SCOTUS is not going to be, it's not going to matter when they rule on any of these things, is because Trump's physically going to be out of the race. So let's say by July 15th.
Well, I did my pendulum and it said yes on the Lewy body dementia. And then I added, while it was still swinging yes to that, I added the question, will he still be available to run for president on the final ballot to go? And it like flipped to a no. I everything I've pulled and everything I've read on for the last several months, I don't see him here anymore.
They're
But
going to try to resurrect him, but he's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
I shuffled really hard. The tower again.
And oddly enough, I get the 7 of Wands followed by the 8 of Wands. So, yeah, this is trying to steal it. It's not going to work. It comes in fast. So I think one day he's there and the next day he's gone.
Yeah, I think it happened suddenly.
Yeah.
Because none of the astrology for him surrounding the eclipse and the Jupiter Uranus
good.
conjunction is
Yeah.
good for him. It's
Right.
very, very bad for him. So if he's physically not able to do that, that actually makes me feel a lot better about the Supreme Court, because them just dragging their heels for no reason is like, maybe they're psychic and they just know he's not going to be there. But
But does he, but you know, there's a good possibility. Does he actually just lose the nomination? Does somebody else get more votes than he does? That the Republican nominee is Nikki Haley.
Oh, not after this weekend. I mean, the
No.
other day. She doesn't even know what the cause of the Civil War was.
Yeah, but that, you know how those things, when they're doing their presidential campaigns, you hear a big deal, something that they did goofy, and then you kind of forget about it because you're just moving on. And that's what she'll do. She'll just move on.
but it's
She made
not
an error by not mentioning that. She does know that that's
Yeah.
the way it should be, but she goofed up.
but
No,
Trump,
she just
Trump's
didn't
not
want
gonna
to.
be
She didn't
available.
want to rile up the GOP base that is prejudiced, and so she cut that part of it out of her conversation. I'm sure she understands what really caused it.
And I heard that somebody said that if she became president, she said that she would pardon Trump.
Yes,
Now,
she will.
She made that
She did
statement.
say that. She did say that, and I saw
Yeah.
several news shows following up on her inability to say the word slavery, and she's justifying it by saying, "I'm from the South. Of course, it was about slavery, but it was also about government and just
right.
yeah." She shot herself in the foot. That's over. I mean, the
Yeah.
thing is the GOP ever going to nominate a woman? No, they're never going to nominate a woman, and especially a woman of color, because she's
Mhm.
a woman of
Yep.
color.
So
Um, so I don't think that Trump is physically capable of either winning or losing the Republican nomination at by the time of the convention. I think he's already out.
I actually asked if Trump was going to die in 2024 because let's cut to the quick. I
Yeah.
got more yes than no. And I think part of it is it's going to be his body is deteriorating very quickly. He's not going to be able to get around there, and so it's this.
Yeah.
It just feels he's just going to be a shell, and that's it, and a shell that
Yeah.
is not able to be manipulated in the way that they want. And
Yeah,
again,
a smelly shell.
a
I mean,
smelly shell,
when
yes.
when people are talking about your bodily odor to the point that it
Oh.
is so out there, isn't that a
Mhm.
part of the decay of the body? I mean, maybe the poop smell and the makeup smell and the hairspray is covering up the smell of his body just failing.
Mhm.
So if it's not Trump and if it's not Nikki Haley, who is it?
I hope it's Chris Christie,
I was just
actually.
going to say Chris Christie's the only one left standing. Vivek
Mhm.
Ramaswamy, everybody wants to kill.
No,
Ron,
he's stepping down anyway.
oh yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Ron
Still the same
DeSantis.
with us?
Ron DeSantis is no. So Chris Christie is the only one.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could do worse. Yeah.
He wins by default.
At least he's honest. Yeah. Yeah.
He is that. And he was a pretty good governor. So I got to say.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
So anyway, wow. Well, it's been nearly an hour and a half. I do have some other things, but they're not nearly as interesting as what we already talked about. So, does anybody have any any last thoughts before we get lost?
I think everything is going to work out. In 2024, it may seem like chaos on the surface, and we may go through a lot of ups and downs, but try and stay centered and balanced and think about the outcome you want to bring forward. Because at the end of the day, I believe that we have already set the tone for what is coming, and that is democracy. We're going to maintain it.
Mhm.
And Joe Biden will be our president and so forth. So don't let
the
it.
fact that the
Yeah.
2024 is an 8-year numerology
Yeah.
wise is also a very powerful sign that things are on the move in the right direction. In a
Yeah,
positive.
2024 is going to be great. It's going to be really a good year, but it's going to be, it'll be like when you look back on it and say, well, Cleo said it's going to be a good year, but look what happened. It's because that's all those things have to happen. There's going to be a lot of garbage in there.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of
Mhm.
negativity. But in the end, we win. We win. We come up. We get things that we want. We want a good president. We want we
Mhm.
want the Republicans to straighten out their politics amongst themselves. We want we want the economy to keep on doing good, which it is doing good, but it's not the best it can be. So just 2024 is going to be the year where we really see a lot of changes, and then going into 2025 we'll hardly even remember 2023. So it's going to be a good new year.
It is, if 2023 taught us anything, it's that we need to get out and do things. We need to
Yes.
make sure that every single person's voice is heard, be articulate, be the action that makes things happen. That's really key. There's been a lot of groundwork for it. 2024, I mean, this can be good. This can work out.
Get out there and vote.
Get your
Yeah.
facts together, and every time somebody gets in your face about Biden this, Biden that, Biden the other, be able to stand there and just tick it off. No, we did this with the Biden administration. He did this. He did this. He did this. Just roll it out.
Yep.
Like
Stock market just closed today at another high. So.
Yeah.
Exactly. There are a lot more positive things than there are negative. Is it all going to be, sunshine and rainbows and whatnot? No, there are going to be little bumps along the way. That's life. That's what happens. Nothing. And if everything was stagnant, it's because you're not moving forward, right? If everything remains the same. So big thing that I would ask all of you is please, yes, like Rose Blue said, vote, 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 vote. You can't become complacent. You can't just assume that everyone out there is realizing that there's something wrong with the Republicans and they're not going to vote for them. Because believe you me, that, the people that represent the worst of what the Republicans are you're not going to be able to remove them from a voting line with a jackhammer. So make sure that you are there. Make sure to vote, vote, vote. Take someone with you, give someone a ride.
And keep in mind that the stock market went up because of Joe Biden. President Biden is what has saved this whole year and will continue to do that. And he will end up being one of the best presidents we've ever seen. And when you see those negative headlines about him, just ignore it. It's absolute BS, and it comes from the Republican mega side of things. And I can't believe what Biden has done for us and how the media just clobbers him.
They flat out ignore it.
Oh, she froze.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm jumping in. Okay, so so
what the hell happened here?
You froze.
You froze.
That's all.
You guys all disappeared for a second. Didn't they all go to a blank screen?
No.
No, you just froze.
You just froze.
Cleo the seer, I can see into it.
So what Cleo was saying is really it's ironic that Joe Biden gets so much flack for all the things that he didn't do himself, and then he doesn't get credit for the things that he has done. But that is true about great presidents throughout history. They very often are not appreciated, like artists. They're not appreciated in the real time when they're doing these things. And in fact, people may really dislike them because of it. And then when they're gone, they romanticize it a bit more and they realize how good they really had it. So thank you, everybody.
That's where it's up to us.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for playing PoliTarology with me one last time this year. And I'm very, very excited about starting up for 2024. Remember, in 2024, we're going to have the regular gang, every first and third Friday of the month. And then in between, I will have some of the gang and other people and lots of other guests, and we'll, I think, have no end of crap to talk about in an election year. It's going to be really, really exciting.
Don't we have a PoliTarology on January 5th?
Yes, we do. And also the show on New Year's Day is also a PoliTarology, so we'll also be doing it then. I got to work in some other things other than just PoliTarology. Just really been hitting it hard with PoliTarology. So yeah, New Year's Day at 3 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to have a group PoliTarology with just a whole bunch of fun people. A lot of new people are coming to that. That's going to be really, really fun. So be sure to tune in for that. Be different energy because it's going to be new people. On the 5th, that will be our first official PoliTarology with the gang for 2024. That's the first Friday of January. And then what is it? The 19th will be the second one of that. And in between, again, we're going to have lots and lots of interesting guests that are coming on. So again, very different energy. And I also wanted to plug the new show that we're starting. The working title for it is just New World Vision. I don't quite know what it's going to end up being called, but that's a show where we're going to envision a better world. We're just going to all collectively try to talk about the picture of how things could be if they were perfect, if they were
We're
just
going
the
to
way we
create our
want.
own guided meditation.
And then I will lead everybody through a visualization of that. And hopefully, by doing this a couple times a month with lots of different people, psychics, and the people who are watching, hopefully our energy will go out into the universe and create a better world. That's what we are going for.
Absolutely.
So the witches did it in World War II. They helped affect a lot of losses to the Nazis by visualizing, just by meditation and visualizing. They literally helped change the course of World War II. And I think they did it in World War I, but it's not very well documented.
This
But
works.
Nice.
it definitely works. Meditation, prayer, contemplation, and visualization are all techniques to make changes, positive changes in your life. So don't discount that. And please join us for all of those shows. Those are going to be, right now we're doing them on Sunday nights, but there's some people who can't make Sundays. So I may take a different day of the week and do a repeat, a repeating show on those days. I don't know. It's in the works. We're just trying to figure it out and create it and all of that good stuff. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate you all being here. I need to get myself set up here so I can play my music and do my stuff. And thank you. Thank you, everybody. You're just a bunch of nuts. And I just love being with you. Thank you so much. Here we go. Bye.